It was a great way of making a record. I just like good songs. You get a real sense of achievement. I think the road to this tour with this album began now nearly 2 years ago. I was sat at home and I hadn't written a song for quite a while. I'd taken a little bit of a break from music, and then one day just found myself sat in front of the piano at home and start playing these little chords, simple little 4-chord kind of structure, and singing this melody of it. Love yourself if you want, cry a bit, laugh a lot, throw a stone. And I got to the end of that song. The song became They Do.
Love yourself if you want, cry a bit, laugh a lot, throw a stone, take a plane, start again, give yourself a chance.
It was kind of about the stage I was at in my life. I didn't have a record deal, and I'd even toyed with the idea of doing something else other than music. But that's kind of what that song is about. There's a great line in there: "Give yourself a chance, not a nosebleed." And it just opened the way for me. That first, I always say, probably the most important song on the album was the first one, because I don't even know whether the album would have happened or would have been made if it wasn't for that song kind of taking me to a place. And I decided that I'd like to write an album of just 10 songs, and the order they appeared in on the record was the order that I wrote that I was going to write them in. I was 32 and realising I was just getting a bit older, and I wanted the album to reflect that and just be very honest and very open. I didn't know how it was going to come out and how it would take shape, but it was kind of like, I suppose, writing a little book, and as every song fell into place, the next song, the next song, the next song, and I wanted to know how the story was going to end. It was a great way of making a record. The first person I ever got into, my first idol or songs I'd sing around the house, was Elvis Presley. I think the influence came a little bit from my mum, because she was a big Elvis fan, and so I used to grease my hair back into big quiffs and try and look like a teddy boy from the age of about 3, but use proper lard out of the fridge, and my mum would end up spending about 10 hours trying to wash the stuff out of my hair. But then, I don't know, I think just through life, my dad was in a band, and so I think just through life there was always, I'd go and watch my dad doing gigs and stuff, and there always seemed to be music around, but I think a lot of my influence in the early days was like, old 60s rock and roll and stuff like that, because my dad used to play a lot of that kind of stuff as well. But I just like good songs, to be honest. It doesn't really matter where it's coming from or who's done it. I'm not one of those, you can't like that band or you can't like that band. I'm just a fan of good songs, really. But there was a time in my life, probably halfway through the Take That thing, when the lyrics of songs started to become a lot more important, I guess, and more relevant. And I just really like to go within the song and pick up to really feel the emotion of what it's about. I think that's something that is always very important to me. I want not only the words to tell the story, but the way you say the words and stuff to also tell the story of the song. So that it's always important for me to have that, to be able to do that, to write songs that can capture emotion and can, words and lyrics or and melodies that can take you to a certain place.
In a yellow cafe. Yes, the heart of the city is here, so he tells me. Sitting on his red leather sofa, he's rolling another.
Just very natural, to be honest. I don't like forcing anything out and trying to make something work. If it doesn't work immediately, then it's probably better to move on anyway. But in my own mind, I like to almost paint scenes, paint pictures. Just write stories. I like writing stories. Some about me, some about things I see outside and friends, or I always say it's about life but it's only really my perspective of life, but it's the best way to work. I always write visually. I can see exactly where I can see a road, or as I'm writing the song, I like to put the song in a place. I think Believe in the Boogie as a song almost explains the making of the album. Because I was making this record myself, I decided to not go and try and get another deal, and I wanted to put it out on my own label and make the record that I felt was going to be a good presentation of me, really. And so Boogie is kind of the song, the opening, like, oh, this friend of mine is wasting all his money. It's kind of a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, a little bit of irony, I guess, in the song. It's the point probably in the making of the album where I actually thought, this is going really well, I'm really enjoying doing this, and it's, it feels like it's the right kind of vibe, and I think it's very optimistic as a song. I always say it was a bit like, it started off in a late night kind of area, and then as the album went on, it felt like the sun was rising, and we're going into a new day and a new start. No fear in making this record, and I was able to kind of just go into it and see where it took me, but it was great to not have that fear factor of having to go and play songs to somebody in the record label and see if I could take it wherever I wanted, and I really enjoyed that creative freedom. Well, when I finished making this record, it was very important for me that I could tour it, and I didn't just want to tour it in the UK. I wanted it to be able to tour it in Europe, and we ended up going to Asia as well. But again, doing it on your own label gave me the opportunity to do that. It's kind of nice to say I want to go and tour in Germany, I want to go to Italy or Spain or wherever, and be able to take the band there. I felt the best way for me to try and let people know there's a record out is to get out on the road. So when I first sat down with the lads, the band, the talk was, I basically said to them, we're going to tour for a year. That's the plan, that's the way we're going to work it. And I think we pretty much did. We might have had a few weeks off here and there, but it felt like there was a whole year of us going. From the minute we went out on the road, we seemed to be touring constantly for the rest of the year. Well, we did 2 shows really during that year. We went back into the studio, and when we first started touring, we mainly did How the Mighty Fall. The idea was to go out and promote this record, and probably the first 6 months was just playing more or less just songs off the new record.